Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another video. In this video, I want to break down how I can identify trends on the 30-minute time frame. Now, identifying trends on any time frame is imperative for your strategy to work. For me, I only use the 30-minute and the 5-minute, and the 30-minute sole purpose is to find us a trend, find us zones which we can use to get trades from. So in this video, I'm going to give a little bit of an example of how we can use that to identify different structure points, different zones, and how we can make it work for our strategy. So without further ado, we are going to jump straight into the chart. There are a few things that we need to know before I give you examples on how to find structure. Not that they're completely relevant to this video, but if we start off with why my screen looks like it does. So the different candles have different meanings, and all of this information can be found in my Discord if you want to copy the same layout. But Asia session is black, London session is blue, and US session is white. So just before we go into any examples, I thought show you this just in case it looks a bit funky. And like I say, everything's in the Discord below. So to start off with the basics, we need to identify trend. To identify trend, we need to know what trend actually is. So I'm sure you've all heard of it by now, but for the few people that haven't, I'm just going to give a quick demonstration. So an uptrend is when we're making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, and we are pushing to the upside. Another way to help with this is to get, let me just see what it's called, the trend line, and literally just follow the bottom of the bodies when you're looking at price. For example, all you do in this scenario, bottom of the body, bottom of the body, bottom of the body. What are we in on here? A clear uptrend. Now in my strategy, I do not use trend lines, but we do identify trend. So if you struggle with identifying trend, then a trend line tool is a perfect tool to use. Like I say, we do not take trades off them. So clearly just identify the trend with this tool. Don't get any entries off it. Just simply identify the trend that we are in. Now, if we jump back down, we have another example when we're making lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. This is when price has entered what we call a downtrend, where price is going to the sell side. To find this, you would simply use the trend line tool again, go on the chart and see what bodies you can line up to identify which sort of trend we're in. Now, for my strategy, I only use the 30-minute to do this. A lot of people use the 4-hour, the 1-hour, the daily, etc. I don't like that. The whole reason I made this account is because I preach simplicity. A lot of people complicate trading. It doesn't have to be that complicated. So I'm going to show you how to identify trend on the 30-minute. Feel free to go back and give this a try and see how you can use this, and maybe it will benefit your trading using some of these methods. So let's say we've opened the chart and the trading day is giving us this example. How would you use the trend line in your favor? Well, you could say, look, I've drawn the trend line and we're in a downtrend because I've drawn the body to the other bodies, and look, we're in an almost downtrend. But are you really creating any lower lows? You made lower highs, but are you making any lower lows? The answer would be, well, no, not really, because look at this. That is hardly a pattern that is going to send us to the downside. Do forgive me for this notification. But as you can see, if price were creating lower lows, it would go to the downside. We would be looking for sells. In this scenario, we are sort of what we call entered a consolidation phase. So price is moving sideways, nothing's really happening. Now there's two things you can do when price enters a consolidation phase. What I like to do is simply go from the very top of the zone from the consolidation phase, such as this one right here, and the very bottom of it, and we'll call that just this zone right here. Now a few things you could do. You either wait for a break above to take price higher like this, or you wait for a break below to take price lower. If price opens up in here, we do not trade this commodity until it breaks one of the levels. We just don't. It's pointless because you can get caught up in this consolidation And trust me, when you're trading consolidation and you're in it, it's the last place you want to be unless you have a whole different strategy based around trading consolidation. Me personally, I would rather see a break so we can get a clear trend on the day to see where price is going. So knowing the fact that now we are in what is called consolidation, we are going to simply use our rule. Once we break, we're going to see if we can get an entry, and we can see if we can take price either to the upside or to the downside, depending on which way it breaks. So if I just play price on a little bit here, we can see we broke through, price came back up, and then we finally decided to keep pushing down. Now, to get an entry on this is a whole nother story. However, for the time being, you can clearly see we have broken this, we've come back up, and then we've started making some lower lows, which we can finally start taking price to the downside. Another great way to identify a trend is simply using what we call a path tool. Another great way to identify trend is using the path tool. Now, the path tool, also known as the arrow tool, as I like to call it, is this little bad boy right here. How would you use it to your advantage to find a trend? Simply drawing from point to point. Point to point meaning either a higher high to a higher low, or to a lower high to a lower low. In this example, we are going to be doing higher highs to higher lows. So if we just draw it out here, and this normally gives a clear picture of what price is doing. All you do, once you've drawn it out, is drag it out. Now you can clearly see it makes it a little bit simple without all the wicks going on, without all the bodies. You can clearly see a straight line of what price is doing. So you would clearly identify that as a downtrend. If you needed a little more guidance, you could again get your trend line tool, draw from body to body, and then again, if you'd like, just drag this line out. Once you drag this line out, again, you can clearly see that we're also in a downtrend. So sometimes identifying trend can be as easy as getting the path tool and drawing out from the higher highs to the higher lows, or the lower highs to the lower lows. If we give another example of this, let's just quickly go back onto the chart and let's pick this area right here. So we start and we just simply pick the lower highs to the lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and that's it. And that is all you can see. So yes, you can clearly see it's a downtrend, but if you're a little confused, then it's always a good idea to use this tool to your advantage, because they're there. The tools are there to be used. Make sure and feel free to use them as many as you like. No one's going to judge you. There's no one to judge you. So do whatever you need to help you out in the best way possible. So how can we find trades off the trend? Now that we've identified how we can find a downtrend and a uptrend just by using the simple tools that TradingView gives us, how do we then catch a potential trade? So with us and with this strategy, we use the session zones. What I mean by that is if you're trading London session, you would only use previous London session highs and lows. US session, you would only use previous US session highs and lows to catch entries. To help you with this, we can simply go through some structure points. So if we go just a little bit back on the chart, we can already find an example of this. So we are on silver at the moment, but all we do is draw out the highs and lows, and we can get an entry from that. So you're struggling with trend. In this, you wouldn't need a tool, because you can see this area right here. If I just highlight it, we are in consolidation. What would you do? You would wait for that consolidation to break. You would find a retest of the bottom of your zone, and then you can catch a sell from that. And that's as simple as some of these trades have to be. They do not have to be complicated whatsoever. If we then go back a little bit further, again, we can find yet another example. So in this scenario, it's quite unique. There is not really any uptrends or downtrends forming. We are again sort of forming this consolidation type sort of zone. Now, what you can do, you can identify this as a consolidation zone, or you can go to the bigger picture. Now, the bigger picture is obviously we are in this area here. If we broke out this zone, it would be great if price could go further up. If we broke below, it would be great to see it go further down. But at the end of the day, you do have to realize we are day traders. we're looking for, and especially in this strategy, we're looking for 1 hour to 4 hours. We want to be in a position. So we want to really dial in and focus in on what is happening in recent price action. There's no point going back 10 years because we're looking at right what is in front of us. And a lot of the time, and you'll see on the free Discord when I post my daily analysis, of that we don't actually ever go back, even maybe a few months to find entry zones. They're normally the previous week or even the previous days where we can get these zones from. In this scenario, let's say you wake up on a day like today and you've seen my analysis in the Discord. All you would do is go on it, click on the analysis, and you would see something of the sort. So I gave a brief description of what the strategy basically was. We do the highs and we do the lows. So coming to this, you would say, well, what are we looking for? Again, you'd see on my analysis that in the short term, if we break this zone, which we have, again, this zone being this area here, we broke this zone, we pushed up, got a tap back in, and price is continuing to go up. We use previous US sessions if we are trading in US session. Therefore, I'm only going to be looking to get trades off this previous US session. So ideally, I want to see price come into this zone and gives a tap back up to take price higher. On the flip side, if price breaks through and we don't get our entry candle that I preach, if we don't get the entry candle, then we look to see if price maybe come all the way down, gives a tap back in, and then we can take price further down. But if we play price on, and you can probably see already what's going to happen just because obviously I entered the replay mode, you can see price tapped in and we took it all the way up bullish. So identifying trend doesn't just have to be arrows. If you implement it in the right strategy, you can simply hone it in on maybe the last week's price action or even the yesterday's price action that these US sessions or these London sessions or Asian sessions, for example, they give you. They give you certain areas that you can work off to identify trend, and you can say, look, if price comes to this level, or if price breaks and retests this level, I want to be in for sells, or I want to be in for buys. If we get a good reaction that we look for, that I teach in this strategy. That's all you would do. So again, identifying trend can be arrows. But a lot of the time in this strategy, it's simply understanding where we are in the market. And if price does something, we can react to such something. If price breaks this level, then we can react to it. Trading is about reacting to the market and reacting what the market gives you. You cannot just expect to draw a line and price consistently repeat and tap off it. Otherwise, we'd all be rich. This is why I don't like using trend lines. Yes, they're a good tool to identify the trend. But like I say, and you will see if you do click off this video and you go into the Discord, you will see I do only just use the previous day, the previous week's US session highs and lows, because all I trade is the US session. So we only use this to sort of identify a trend. For example, if price broke above here, tap back in, I would love to see some buys up if, and that's the all important if, the market gives it to us. If the market does not give it to us, we do not get in. We do not get into a trade, and we have certain rules to stop us from getting caught out in all this, what I like to call mess. So it's sort of a basic general idea, this video, and how to understand what trend actually is. But to not drag on and keep waffling, I am going to end this video here. If you did enjoy or do have any feedback for me, please feel free to leave it in the description. If you want to message me privately, the Discord is open, and I will reply to any message in there. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.